They think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wanted to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Man, I just wanted to bring closure to the buildup and just recap everything and just share my perspective. I don't know how long-winded I'm going to be because I didn't know my man was going to go live tonight. And I normally kick it over there where we can engage in dialogue with other, you know what I'm saying, like-minded people. Might be some light sparring, might be some heavy sparring. It might get a little hectic. So I'm not going to be long-winded tonight. I did want to let y'all know that as always, that I really do believe that these are the times where you have to actually take time out and at least show a little respect or appreciation for some of the greats. You know, I mean, people don't really want to admit it, but Gervonta Tank Davis is a special fighter. He is what they would call a generational talent. Just like all generational talents, like when you take a Roy Jones or a Floyd Mayweather, when you take those, they're not alike. Like even Andre Ward, you know, Floyd wasn't like Ward, Floyd wasn't like Roy, Roy wasn't like Ward. You know, Tank's not like Floyd, he's not like Roy. You know, even Tyson at heavyweight, you know, he wasn't like none of them, but it's just something as far as what they bring to the table skill wise and in a way that they actually resonate with the masses. GXTV, salute big homie, salute GXTV, man. I appreciate you for chiming in, man, and checking me out, man. I was wondering how you been doing, man. I hope all is well. I appreciate you for coming through. Cookie Monster, Bodywork, salute Cookie Monster. She say sounding good, crystal clear. I appreciate that. Sound check. AC, my main Apple Scrapple in the building. Salute Bodywork, salute AC, man. But yeah, I just wanted to take time, man, and like I said, I'm not gonna be long. I just want to give my thoughts and my ideas on, you know, the week, the build up, assess and analyze the fight, and just point out some things so that if you watching or catch on the playback, it'll be a stake in the ground for some things that I'm going to say. And then I'm gonna go on over to my man Pop channel and kick it over there and maybe get some light sparring in or whatever. But one thing I want to say is, man, I'm finally kind of seeing people. I'm finally kind of seeing people that is like kind of like they're not full fledged doing it, but they kind of giving Tank his salutes now. And I think sometimes it's important that while people are doing what they're doing, it's just like a man when he's with his woman. Like every now and then, you gotta give them their salutes. You gotta tell them that, hey man, you doing a great job. Like I appreciate you. I see what you're doing. I see the progression. I see the hard work. I see all these little things that you do and what you add, the value that you add. In Tank's case, it's to the sport, but in your relationship, it is what it is. But I'm starting to see people, and I think probably the best one I've seen was Roy Jones. And I think Roy Jones, he's had the best ability, in my opinion, to remain neutral, keep it real, right? But he didn't sell all the way out. He didn't sell all the way out on Tank, but he did say that, he's special. He has started to cut through a little bit of the BS that's going on as far as why these guys not fighting and what it's going to take and how it's going to do this. He's probably had the best take, and I want Roy Jones back commentating again, man. I know he loves training and all that. I just think that, man, Roy Jones fighters, they be thinking that they can be Roy. So it's not his boxing mind. It's just that they think that when they listening to Roy, that they can embody Roy when they get out there. And a lot of times they get mixed. But nobody really talk that boxing like Roy Jones, man. He's like, in my opinion, there's no shade to Tim Bradley. I know they both Hall of Famers. And Tim Bradley was a talent of his own, a worker bee, a boxer. Roy Jones was a generational talent. And Roy Jones had the ability to be able to call fights and talk about things before they happen. That's one of the things. That's what I be trying to do, man, on my channel. I be speaking about things in real time, and it comes to pass, and it comes to fruition, and it happened to be only when I say these things in real time, I'm deemed as a hater, or a detractor. When I'm like, I'm not. It's just this life. So I really miss Roy, on the side of the ring. I would have, man, if he could replace Abner Mares, oh my goodness. I'll probably pay extra if that could happen. But if it was a fifth, I guess we all be drunk, man. But I've seen a lot of the things with Ak and Barack. I've seen and heard the people, and I recognize the voices that was asking Tank all the questions during the time doing all these interviews. And one of the most annoying people is still Sean Zattel, man. Like Tank was trying to tell the man, like, listen, man, I need a break. I've been doing this since I was, knee high to a June bug, and this could be your therapy, Tank, and it's like, he's saying all these things. This man did a back and forth with Tank like 3 or 4 times. The Tank was saying no, like, no, listen, bro. That's what a lot of things, like, even in conversation when you talking on the phone with people, man. I think sometimes the people that be asking the questions, they be missing out on. If you ask a question, right, that means your mouth is shut and your ears should be open. Like, and they be asking the same question like they got an agenda. Like they gotta stick to a script and they gotta try to drive some kind of narrative or get some kind of reaction. And Sean Zattel just was not getting it. He was just saying, listen, man, I've been doing it. It's rough on the body. It's mentally tough. It's always, people always expecting what you gonna do next and this. And yes, part of that is being a boxer. It's the life of a boxer. It's, those are the perils of becoming a star. That's why he said he want to fade back into not being regular, but being out from under the lights. And Sean Zattel wasn't getting it. He was like, oh man, with Tank. But what he was really doing was basically saying he don't want Tank to retire. And instead of actually going on record and saying, hey Tank, man, I don't want you to retire, bro. You talented, man. You got a gift. Like you inspiring. Like I like your style. Like instead of saying something like that, he just kept going over and over again. I'm like, man, people like that, they be having all the privilege to get up there and then they don't ask the right questions, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I salute them for being able to get in the building and be able to get the questions. But it's like, man, you know how people say you gotta know what time it is. Like you always gotta be. It's like your situational awareness gotta be up. Like you gotta be in the moment. You gotta focus. And I think some of them guys, they don't do that. But today, and a little bit the day before. Like I've been seeing these guys slowly come around to kind of like it's still half-hearted, but the truth is starting to come out. You know, I mean, the I'm gonna tell you the biggest problem with Tank, right, is that for his size and his structure, him and Inouye have the same exact dimensions. They're the same exact height with the same exact arm reach. Except for Inouye started off at a much smaller weight. You know, I think maybe some of that got to do with him, you know, and you know, the fact that he's from over there in Japan, like his, you know, that's how his people are built for the most part, like typically. But they're the same height, same reach. Right? I don't know about their bone structure and all that, but they would be basically twins, right? But the problem for Tank is that everybody knows that if you pretty much down there and you that size, like you pretty much not gonna be able to beat him. And what's so funny is I think that he actually has more issues with people that are smaller than him, which might have been one of the issues with Cruz other than the hand. But a lot of people know that people down there around his size, they not gonna be able to stand in the paint with him. You know, it's like you gonna have to be a generational talent or have a special set of skills. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have to have a special set of skills to like defang that Cobra. You know, he's a predator. And I think people, they know that. So the only way to do it is to try to sick him or try to make him get outside of the boundaries. I'm like, you know, there is no pressure for these other guys to go up, you know, because you can say he fought in 4 different weight classes, right? He fought in 4 different weight classes. Shakur has been in 3. He hasn't been to the 4th, right? Devin's getting ready to embark in his 3rd. But to ask him to keep going up, it's like it'll be the same thing that the people are asking Inouye to do. You know, in his 5th weight class, moving up and then moving up again and then moving up again. So he would be jumping from his 5th to his 8th weight class, but they don't have these demands for anybody else. That's why when the Inouye and Tank conversation come up, I know what it'll do for the business, but we gotta be real. On one side of the fence, you can say, well, they're the same height and the same reach, right? So they, in essence, they are the exact same size. And salute Koki, salute Bodywork and chat, salute, man. His twin in the building, salute his twin, salute Bodywork. Like in essence, so it's 2 different arguments. So in essence, when people say, "Oh man, he's too small," it's like, for one, they are the same height and the same reach. So in essence, they are the same size, like identical, right? So that's one argument when people try to say, you know, blah blah blah. The other argument is that, you know, Inouye ain't gonna be able to hang in the paint with Tank, man. He's not. And if you complaining about a dude that is actually physically a little bit bigger than him and Lamont Roach, that's a champion who's fought in the weight class of 35 more times than Shakur Stevenson. If you're complaining about that, if you complain about Leo, who's arguably a Hall of Famer, who Tank went down to meet at 130 to fight, if you're complaining about that, they're going to obliterate the conversation with Inouye. So when the business of boxing says that, yes, it makes sense because it's a money maker, I get it. That's what everybody, like, you know, like Tank even said, he said, man, it's about names. I don't necessarily believe it's about names, but there's so many people out there just saying name. Because when you start actually breaking down the nitty gritty and you start saying, okay, well, this person say they want to do this, but what are their actions showing? Their actions show that they're not really ready to do that. But only everybody goes over the Tank because they say, oh, he's the A side. It's like, okay, well, so you give credence to him being the A side, right? And be able to call all the shots. But when he calls some shots, they laugh and say, oh, look at him, man. He want, you know, this is what he want. He want him to go do this, man. He's scared. I'm like, when, so are you gonna, I don't even like playing the A side, B side game, for real. All I know is that in action, a lot of guys, it's been in the script for all these other promotional companies to use their fighters to be able to say, hey, I want to fight Tank, I want to fight Tank, and then they do actions that show that they don't really want to fight him. So he's kind of in the catch-22. Do you dare to be? So he's in his fourth weight class. I mean, he went to his fourth weight class, went back down to his third. He weighed in at 133. Lamont Roach was 135, bang on, right? So do he go down to 130? They'll say he's picking, but I'm like, no, that's the definition, in my definition, of pound for pound. Like when you can move up, move down, do whatever. So if he can move down and fight the best down there, they're gonna say, oh, he's picking on him, even though they'll give credit to Ray Ford or Oshaki or somebody like that. You know, they'll give credence to that, but no credence to a Hector Garcia or Lamont Roach. It's just weird because a lot of the people that run boxing, they do it through the casual voice. They do it through the casual voice. So people that don't have time to sit down and do the research and look at everything, they go to 1 or 2 or 3 different places. They look at, you know, maybe have a couple different channels. But when there's people that's live, that's talking, they go to these people to get their information, and they use the information that they get as the gospel. But those people, most of the time, I'm not gonna say all the time, but I would say 80, 85, 90% of the time, they have an agenda. Because he's also in a, Tank puts people in a dilemma too. Why? Because I stopped doing videos using this footage because I kept getting the copyright. That's why I do my visuals and all that, but I don't use the footage of them actually fighting and all that because they'll start dinging you. So if you can't use that, you can't show the work, right? But then also because he does not interview with you, you can't make no money off you. You can't sit down and do an interview and get no. And then when you do, it's like you got to be a part of this special group over here that's privileged to be able to do that. So because they can't do that, they spend a lot of the time using his name to big up their fighter or to have a conversation and get numbers, but they gotta embellish. I'm not gonna say straight up lie. Some of them straight up lie. Some of them straight up misinterpret. Some of them straight up derail conversations and misinform. Some of them, sometimes they do that. Oftentimes they do that. But if you're gonna be present in those areas, in those situations, and having part of those conversations, you have to know what's going on yourself, and you have to be bold enough to actually say something about it. But you're not going to be in a room full of people that want to hear this one thing, and you're going to be the only one saying, nah, this is not, nah, I don't agree. Because they're going to, you know what I'm saying? They're going to pretty much kick your ass out, right? I just find it funny that there are certain people, certain channels that will use this man's name, do an 8-hour, 9-hour live using his name, throwing a fight party, right? Because he keeps the lights on, but they never speak highly about him. And this was my hypothesis. Some of it's been coming out here. I said, listen, I believe that if some people were more honest about what Tank brings to the table and the special fighter he is, I don't think he would have plans on walking away. Because he's in the circumstance now where it's like, man, I don't care, man. No matter what I do, they're gonna discount it. He beat Ryan. They say, oh, rehydration. But it's like Ryan wanted an extra concession. Just like, okay, cool. But they never say nothing about Canelo and his weight, the weight clauses or the weight catches or the rehydration. They never say, like, it just be two different conversations. So I think that if he was appreciated a little bit more, he probably wouldn't have been thought about retiring, because he would have been getting his salutes, you know, while he was still around and active. You know, and then some things caught up to him, and I think he really starting to see how the boxing business truly is, especially, you know, when you are apex predator and you on pretty much at the top of the totem pole. You see how vicious, how cutthroat this business can be. But when I look up the matchup, right, my thumbnail was just a little jokey joke, you know what I'm saying? My thumbnail was just a little Tank getting ready to run over a Roach, right? But I don't look at Lamont like a Roach. He can be a reaper, and I think that Tank he's pretty much he's in a weird situation, because skill wise, it's not many people that honestly believe that Roach can actually beat Tank, right? But when you're going into a fight to where everybody's thinking that you can, beat and this and this, you can be overconfident. You can overlook an individual. And if he rises to the occasion, because his adrenaline gonna be off the chain. If Lamont Roach can tame his adrenaline and get in that pressure cooker, that 36-minute chamber, and maintain his adrenaline, maintain his awareness, and stay on his A game, man, he can shock the world. He can cash in on his lottery ticket, right? And if Tank going in there, because he was saying a lot of things, a lot of glowing praises, a lot of whatever, but I've been trying to tell people, because you haven't had a lot of examples of people from this area, like from Maryland, from DC, from Baltimore. You haven't had many people from this area like really represent how people in Maryland really are. Like at their core, like people from out here are not really fake. Like if it's not really no real beef, they're not really gonna act like it's a real beef. They're not gonna manufacture a real beef. Why? Because that's how people get hurt. That's how people get touched. That's how people get killed. So they were at a dilemma anyway, because they're not gonna manufacture no drama. I heard Lamont Roach say that. He was like, man, listen, I don't really got no problem. This is business. Tank was approaching the same way. So Tank can't allow, which there's no prior evidence to show that he will allow, him being cool or not having a legitimate beef with somebody to not be able to flip that switch when they yell ding, ding, ding. And when he was asked, he said, how do you, knowing that y'all were cool and, you got family here and this and, the gyms that y'all in and the past history and actually really being all right, how do you deal with that? He said, man, I got to become a demon. So he's going to have to become a demon. If you don't become a demon, man, Lamont Roach knows that he can etch his family name in stone, man, if he was to derail Tank Davis. So I looked at it like Lamont Roach is playing with the house's money. Nobody's really expecting him to win. It's much like how Floyd Schofield was going into the Shakur fight. Nobody would, even when Frank was slated for Shakur, I was like, man, dang, Frank, you missed the opportunity, because nobody was really betting or really gonna put some money down that he was gonna be able to win. I thought maybe the Frank Martin and Shakur fight, that could have went either way. Because Frank Martin, I don't care what you say, Frank Martin is a talented guy, man. Your dude beat Virgil Ortiz in the amateurs, man, and he has some names. He was not manufactured. He was not fast tracked and all that. He had to go through the ringer and earn his stripes. That's why I found it funny when everybody was changing their complexion on this whole Keyshawn, when you can clearly see that he was fast tracked. He can avoid like somebody that had his number in the Olympics and all that. But like, and people will say, oh, he's the best. It's like, well, you haven't seen him go through the same thing that somebody even like a Frank Martin went through. Even something like what Lamont Roach went through. Because they've been holding this Jamel Herring fight and all this. When you look at it, man, it's like the fight was it was okay. I think that Jamel Herring, he was a little confident in that one. I hadn't seen Jamel Herring box that confidently in a minute, to be honest. But he went back to the back of the line. He had to rebuild himself and rebuild himself and get back up to a point and actually become a champion. And he kind of defamed Hector Garcia rather easy. I don't know what the commentators were kind of calling the fight a little weird, at that time, but it was a clear victory. The knockdown sealed the deal. And they were trying to say it was a cupping blow. You can say that and all this, but like if somebody hits you on your way in and y'all don't tangle feet and he hits you and you happen to even touch a glove on the canvas, it's considered a knockdown. That's why David Benavidez had even got a knockdown, even though this one, the one that Lamont Roach had with Hector Garcia, was not even like the one with David Morrell and David Benavidez. But I think that I'm happy for Lamont Roach. If this was not Tank, I would be rooting for Lamont Roach, man. I'm proud of both of these brothers, man. I'm proud that Tank is actually showing that, you know, because even when you look at the Russells, right? Every time they put a Russell, and I was saying, man, see, that's why I was saying we have not been represented properly as far as like showing camaraderie amongst each other, being from this area, because every time they put a mic in his face, now this build up here, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear Mr. Gary Russell Jr. say anything negative. You know, I know Gary Antoine, he gonna ride with his brother. I didn't hear them say anything. But for years, like, you never heard them guys say anything. And I'm like, hold on, man. Like, unless they got a fight coming up, right? He actually put bro Gary Antoine on the undercard. Like, you didn't have to do that. So I'm proud that they can come together and break bread. I'm proud of all of the names, even having Jared Hurd on there. Even putting Jared Hurd on there to get another, you know, make another bag. You know, he said that he gonna hang it up if he can't get rid of this guy. He gonna hang it up, which I said one fight I saw it. I said, man, I don't want him to be one of them people that just be slurred speech and all that stuff, because, you know, it started getting ugly for him. And I hate to see that with any fighter, but let alone fighters from the area who was once doing big things in the sport. But to see these guys come together and get money, and for him to, because he could have been stingy and put it back in Capital One and tried to break the record that he broke last time down there, but he took it to the Broccolays, a neutral place, right? And he's breaking bread with a lot of people from this area. You know, he's feeding families. You know, he's letting the local talent shine. And I think that's what, like, you can be selfish if you're from all across the world, but if you didn't have plan on driving to the fight and buying no tickets and being in the building, you gotta admire a dude that's putting on for their city like that, where they're gonna show up in droves and really get eyeballs, man, because who knows, when somebody on this card might just get lit. Gary Antoine just might get lit. I mean, he might get beat by El Rayo, but he might take that step back. You know what I'm saying? Might have been, like he said, because I did a video about lessons and losses, right? And he said that he took it as he might get even more lit. You know, Jared Hurd, he might have a resurgence. You know, I wouldn't wager on that. To be honest, I wouldn't wager on that. But, like, man, he might. You know, I just look at it like, man, look, being from the area, being out here, especially being in Baltimore. I was born in DC, birth certificate DC, raised in Landover, Maryland, spent my summers in DC, Southeast, Benning Road. You know, Suitland, I was in Suitland for a while, but now living in Baltimore, I have my fair share of all these places, just going out, seeing people hunched over. Like me, I carry singles or change, so that if I have time and I stop and somebody had the courage to ask, I randomly give people dollars out here. Like, just seeing the environment and being part of this environment, it is a good look to see somebody who is putting on and giving back in the kind of tutelage she's had coming from up under the wing of Coach Calvin, who he reclarified is really Pops. You know what I'm saying? In all essence, people don't give him the respect as though he was the Pops, because he ain't come out his sack. But in all essence, man, that is his Pops. You know what I'm saying? He damn near raised him. Like, you know, so to see the spirit of Coach Calvin rub off on Tank, and then to see what he's doing for his city, man, that gotta be celebrated, man. That has to be celebrated. That cannot be overlooked. It cannot be overshadowed, man. That is not something small. That's not anything to shake a stick at. And I think it was misinterpreted when he said that, listen, man, where I'm from, I'm already a legend. Like, and like when you come from an area and you able to rise to the level that he's right. Like, if you hang him up tomorrow, where he's from and the people around and the circumstances around, like, he is. That's not nothing. That's not being braggadocious or nothing. It's just like when you like me. I was the first one in my family to get a degree. Right? I wasn't the first one in my family to go to the military, but I was the first one to get a degree. Right? But when you break a barrier for your family, or when you break one of these generational curses, or you do something in your life that okay, I always said, okay, well, whatever barrier, if I break a barrier, then the ones coming behind me, they got to come up and try to break another barrier. And then the ones after them, they got to come up and try to break another barrier. Well, he set the bar high for anybody in his lineage to come behind. Anybody that's coming up out of that gym, anybody from Baltimore, anybody. And then when you go more so to the DMV, and then you can go to the East Coast, but he's already set a path to where it's like, dang, if you can achieve half of what he's done, a quarter of what he's done, then you have something to strive for, something to give you hope. Because why? Somebody that was in the same city as you, drank the same water as you, had to deal with the same police as you, had to deal with the same crime, and and deal with the same, everything that you had to deal with, they got out. So you can too. I think that that's underrated about him. And I wanted to give him his salute for that. As far as the fight goes between him and Lamont, I'm gonna put it like this. Lamont really has to be, I think Lamont really has to be perfect, man, to win this fight. And it's different, man. It's like playing chess. It's like playing chess with the clock on and playing chess with the clock off. There's some people that'll kill, like they'll kill you if that clock ain't on. But when you put that clock on, it's a different ball game. And for me, that's what I think Lamont is up against, man. It's different when you got that pressure on you and all them eyes, because eyes is energy. You got to think. Everything that your eyeball sees, it goes out, it gets information, and it brings it back into your head without touching it. So when they say all eyes on me, or like eyes, like when you can feel somebody, like you could be walking and you can tell somebody staring at you. You don't know until you look up and you see them staring at you. When you got all them eyeballs looking at you, that's energy. That's people putting their eyeballs on you, sending out energy and bringing it back. Like this shit, it's a difference. And being on that big stage, being under them big bright lights, having that adrenaline flowing, and you know that if you miss a step tonight, you're going to be frying fish tomorrow. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. So for me, I think he does have a skill set to make it interesting to begin with. But really, I see him going to sleep, man. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully. I see him going to sleep, man. I think that I think a really interesting fight is the Gary Antoine fight and the El Rayo Jose Valenzuela fight, because I'm seeing the evolution of El Rayo, and he's taller than Gary. He's been showing more of a boxing skill set. I think that he has the edge in hand speed. I think Gary has the edge in physicality, but I think El Rayo knows that. And I want to point out something, man. This is one thing that people sleep on when it comes down to PBC, man. The professionalism and how they rolled everything out and how they maintain order throughout this. Because this could have easily been some old crazy stuff that we've seen with some, I'm not even going to say their names. Because this is the green print, right? This is Mexican versus black fighter, right? This is that. But what Gary Antoine drew from was the fact that El Rayo said he didn't see anything special. And so Gary Antoine, every time he got there, he's been showing now. Gary Antoine's very sharp, valedictorian, at his school. Like, he's a very cerebral guy, right? So I don't know if he was saying it to make people think that he was being a little bit too emotional, or he was really like hurt about, not hurt, but like really offended by what he was saying, But he's been making it a point to say that. And I think if he go in there trying to press the issue, man, I think working with Robert Garcia, he's in the gym with Bam Rodriguez. It's the same gym as Virgil and all them. Like Robert Garcia has one of the best stables out there. You know what I'm saying? He has one of the best stables out there. And he's, some of that energy is rubbing off between them, man. He get to go in there and work with Bam. Bam is a bad, bad man, right? And he also can draw from some of the things that Puelo does. Now, Puelo is a different animal because of his reach and his style. That's a cold individual. I'm going to get to him next. But El Rayo, his only thing is, I think that if Gary really like hit that chin, you know what I'm saying? If he really tapped that chin, that's why I think it is. But I think Rayo can be elusive enough to where Gary might not ever catch him flush. Gary got to stick with his roots. Gary Antoine got to stick with his roots. He got to go to the body. Or El Rayo may be able to, because you level up. They say you get better as a champion, but you level up as a champion, and he may be able to make Gary Antoine miss. It's this thing when Gary Antoine is coming in, I don't know what it is, but always when he's coming in, man, he's susceptible of being caught coming in. It's something that he do, but once he get on the inside, it's over. If you let him press you up against the ropes, if you let him go to your body, if you let him start wearing you down, then he'll start going up top, and then it's the guessing game. If I'm gonna go downstairs or I'm gonna go upstairs, and then it's pretty much over. You stopped 17 people. He only lost once, and that was it was a tight fight with Alberto Puelo. The next gentleman I'm gonna talk about, I think this is one of the coldest dudes at 140, man. I think that's one of the coldest dudes at 140. I think that because of his height, because they are listening to him only as I think they listen to him at 5'9". This dude gotta be every bit of 6 feet. He gotta be like 5'11", 6 feet. But his skill set, he's fast, he's sharp, he has some of the best feet at 140. He'd be a nightmare for T.O. A nightmare. Because he can keep him at the end of the jab and pivot and make T.O. rush in and commit mistakes. T.O. would have to land that shot. But he's a two-time champion. He defeated the boogeyman in Gary Antoine Russell. Sandor Martin actually dropped T.O. twice. Didn't get accounted for the knockdown on the second one. But some say that was arguably oh, that was easy. I was watching in amazement. I'm like, dang, he's really and Sandor Martin is very, very underrated. Sandor Martin, that's the guy that Regis, he didn't defend his mandatory. Devin didn't want to defend the mandatory against him or give him a shot. Alberto Puelo is the same guy that when he won that belt and Devin was the champion in recess, Devin didn't want to go back and see Alberto Puelo. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're talking about boxing and, skills and hit and not get hit, man, that Alberto Puelo might put a clinic on, man. And he got some sneaky body work too when he does it, when he do work, because of that the torque that he got because of how long his arms is. And he got some power. So for my people who like all this, I like the classical boxing, man. I prefer the boxer over the puncher and all this. The Sandor Martin and Alberto Puelo fight is going to be one for the ages, I believe. Professionals, ultimate professionals, and they can box. You talking about a high-speed chess match? That's what that's going to be. You're going to get a little bit of you're going to get some boxer puncher between Gary Antoine and El Rayo. That's a boxer puncher, right? You got boxer puncher with Gary Antoine and Rayo. You got a high level chess match between Alberto Puelo and Sandor Martin. People are going to remember these guys. If you don't know these guys now, people are going to remember these guys after this fight. Right? Then you got Yoenis Tellus and you got Julian J. Rock. Julian J. Rock put on one of the most beautifulest clinics I had ever seen when he came off Ramadan that one time and he fought Jared Hurd. I mean, it was clinical. He looked surgical. I mean, you know, his you could tell that, I mean, he really trained, he really he was dialed in, he was locked in. So to go from that to seeing Jason Rosario stop him up against the ropes, and when he looked up, he was like, oh, like it's like he looked up and was like, oh wow, like you could read his lips. He said, oh wow. You know, that's when Jason Rosario, that's before it was really figured out that the man ain't had no body. But he was, you know, Jason Rosario was nice. You know what I'm saying? Before his decent, I don't know what happened to him outside. Like, I don't know what happened to him out in his personal life or whatever, but he used to be nice. But you got Yoenis Tellus, the PBC rising prospect, right? That they're really trying to develop because they're putting him in style. This is a very dangerous fight. And this is going to show you if Yoenis Tellus really got it. Now, this is what people are not going to talk about. Julian J. Rock Williams had fought Carlos Adames, right? Carlos Adames wound up going on to stop him. I think it was more like a mercy stoppage, right? But there were moments to where I don't know how active or if Julian J. Rock trained. I don't know how, if it was a short, late notice, because they will do that. Well, just give me a name. Okay, that guy, just give him, all right, tell him he got 3 weeks. I don't know what the circumstances was. If I was interviewing him, I would have asked him what was the circumstances of him going into that Carlos Adames fight, right? I don't know what they were. But there were moments in that fight where he showed flashes of who Julian J. Rock Williams is. If he's at a full camp, he said, I'm going to be who I've always been. I'm going to go in there and be a dog. I think Yoenis Tellus, he does like to mix it up. He will fight you. He was in there with a real rugged Cuban who just, man, the dude just would take a licking and kept ticking. He was a veteran. He knew all the veteran tactics. He fought a little dirty. He would move. He would brawl. Just, and he went to war with Yoenis Tellus. Right? This is a prove-it fight. This is a prove-it fight. Much like Jared Hurd said, that young guy, Jan, he said, listen, man, we're going to find out if I still need to be here, because if I can't get past this test, I'm hanging him up. I'm not saying that for J-Rock, but this is a prove-it guy. Whether Yoenis Tellus really need, is he real? Is he legit here? Or if it's over for J-Rock. That's a prove-it fight. Those are the fights of the card. And that's not even to mention all the undercards with the guys like the Scooter Davises and all, the whole the clan that's going to be on that card, like on the prelims and all that. Which J-Rock is which Jared Hurd is the feature presentation of that. It's not to include that. This is a chunky card. I think that is very underrated. It's something for everybody. If you want to see a knockout, Tank is a knock. They say, hey, they knock him. They discount him as being a boxer. So we're gonna call him a knockout artist because that's what they call him, right? Even though it's kind of hard, because if it was that easy, everybody would be getting knockouts, right? On the same people that he's fighting, like everybody would be knocking him out if it was that easy. But if you're looking for a knockout, you probably want to get one there. If you're looking for the battle with the boxer punchers, you're gonna get that in Gary Antoine versus El Rayo. If you're looking for a high-speed chess match, you're gonna get that with Alberto Puello and Sandor Martin. Right? And if you're looking for a prove-it fight, you know how they say, hey man, pass the torch, young blood. If you're looking for that, you're gonna get that in Yoenis Tellus as to whether or not he's a legit guy coming up, right? Or if it's over for J-Rock, or he need to, figure out something else, or he on the last mile, or they're gonna be using him as a gatekeeper or a test for the young guys. So you got everything you need, man, courtesy of this card. I don't see how you couldn't be happy with it. I'm happy that everybody made weight. We haven't had no drama. It hasn't been any gimmicky stuff and all this. Like, you got to see Tank open up more in his interviews and be more open and speak to a lot of different things, man. The build-up has went off without a hitch. I'm proud of them guys. Hope everybody go out there and, make it home safely. Yes, we want to see fights. Yes, we want to see blood and guts, and we want to see somebody get knocked out. We want to see somebody go to sleep. We want to see some mouthpieces knocked out. We want to see the lights when somebody knocked the juice out of somebody. We want to see it all. You know what I'm saying? That's our sick fetish as boxing fans, to want to see all of that. But at the end of the day, we want these guys to get their bread and be able to go home to their families, man. And this is another testament, man. Like, because people always shit on the PBC, but they operate in excellence, man. And I think that's what we're going to see on Saturday, man. But that's the wrap up on that fight. That's everything that I had. Let me get back over here to these comments. Wild Weekend Boxing, Tank critics are just embarrassing themselves in every angle. Yep. If Davis beats in a way, they'll call Davis a wait. Yep. That's all. That's why I don't even want to see it. They're not going to give him no credit for that cold key. You know that. They just not fans of Tank because Tank not giving them interviews and that's, or respect to their favorite guys. Yeah, yep. Them two guys, yeah, them sets of guys, yeah. But I'm like, nobody said nothing when T.O. fought Claggett. You know what I'm saying? Like, when he picked Claggett, I'm like, it's just hypocritical, man. Then he said, what? He was ranked number 7. Like, what do you want me to do? But they don't say nothing. Rafael Espinosa from ESPN hating on Tank 2, saying he ducked Shakur. Media want to focus on everything else but Tank's actual fight. Because they can't use him outside. They gotta use if they going for a guy, they gotta use Tank. They gotta latch on to Tank. But I'm like, man, all you gotta do is look at Shakur. And this is coming from in my heart of hearts, I'm a Shakur fan. I just had to get off of I was just like, man, I can't be riding. I don't like a lot of this activity I'm seeing. I gotta get off, man. I can't ride with this, man. Because I see through all the smoke in the mirrors, man. I see through all the smoke in the mirrors, and I hear all of the exceptions to the rule. There's always exceptions to, like, all these guys. Oh man, I ain't gotta fight him. We brothers. Oh man, so what? He coming off of a loss. So what? He moving up. He was getting ready to fight Joe Cordina, who was not a champion, who was at 130, who was coming off of a loss, who was coming off of a knockout loss. And then nobody know, like, hardcore is like, I know who he is. I like Cordina. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter, but that was acceptable for Shakur. It was acceptable for Shakur to say, I want undisputed, to leave Top Rank, where they offered him a 5-fight deal, where there were 2 belts at Top Rank, and Tank having the other one, to go somewhere else and tell that somewhere else, Eddie and them, don't try to make a Tank fight right now. Don't try to make that. I'm foreign Shakur. I don't know if y'all remember when everybody was saying, I'm foreign Shakur. I'm no longer legacy. I'm about the money. Like, the fans don't hear that. I hear it. I'm like, oh, you foreign now? Oh, okay. You all about the money now? Oh, okay. So when Tank was saying, I'm all about my bread, even though I'm establishing my own legacy, doing it how I'm doing it, you all about bread now, and that's okay. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Didn't make any sense. There's no accountability. And now it's just another excuse. Like, now he don't want to fight him till his hands get well. It's like, okay, well, first it was okay. It was just the last, when they talked about it, it was money. Saying you didn't get offered enough money or you wanted more. Okay. And I want to, like, just like on Batman, when I always joke around and say the Joker, when he say, never rub up against another man's rhubarb. I never really want to look at another man's numbers, man. But it be out there, and I'm like, man, when you see the numbers that he just got for this fight, I'm like, okay, so you that's breaking the bank. That's less, to my understanding, that's less than what you've been getting. So I don't really see, that's less than what you've been getting. Unless there's some stuff that's going on under the table, but that's not none of my business. I don't understand the move. Matias had the show out tomorrow to rejoin the circle of fire at 140 with Lopez and Haney running away to 147 to end their careers. Matias can fight for a title if he wins tomorrow. Yeah, I think Sabril learned something. I don't know, man. It was kind of funny, man. I don't know if he thought he needed to look vulnerable or needed to look, and I don't know if he fought that way. I don't know, man. I had some time to look back on it, man, and I'm like, Sabril, I know he's not Richardson Hitchens as far as boxing wise, but he just didn't box his way, and I don't know if he in hindsight, I don't know if he had to try to make himself look more vulnerable or beatable, thinking that he was going to get the decision and he didn't get the decision. It backfired. But I don't know, man. I got Subriel getting back to doing what he doing. Like basically accumulation and then ultimately hitting somebody till it hurts and they're exhausted and they retire on the stool, or he straight stop him. Or a referee come in and be like, nah, that's enough. You had enough. He went upside your head too many goddamn times. I have faith in Subriel. I'm a fan of Matias, but Vic season is a clickbait lord, and I had to unfollow because he changed up when he found out I couldn't sub. Dude just want money to feed his 7 kids. Like, why? Get your girl pregnant 7 times if you don't got a full time in 20. His vids making Matias look bad by building hype up when Matias hasn't done anything since Ergashare. Matias gotta get his work back up. I was trying to, but it's like he don't want to. Man, I was building him, and but you see how I operate, right, Koki? David should just stay at 135 and say. That's what I say, man. Don't let them pull you up and get and make you stretch out somewhere where you not. You know, I mean, yeah, if you're gonna be great and you see something that's worth taking, like I wouldn't mind him going up there to 40 to go see. I wouldn't mind him going to go see T.O. at 40. You know, but ask him to go up to 47 because T.O. ain't got no business at 47. T.O. is still questionable as to whether or not T.O. got power at 40. I mean, we know he got power, but he don't got the same kind of power. Something was going on. I mean, unless he done figure something out, but T.O. ain't been the most active either. He ain't been the most active. But you see how I operate, Koki, man. Like my guys, man, Earl, Jamel. I couldn't really get much on Matias, but when my guys don't got nothing going on, I'm not just gonna fabricate some stuff and just keep you all like how they do with these other guys using other people's names. I'm not gonna do that. I think I was doing a good job at getting some eyeballs on Matias when I was, pushing him hard and all that. And for some reason, this is like he did everything but try to, rock with me. So it's just like, hey, man, I was putting on for you, man. But like, I think he was giving orders that I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that in crowd that you can associate or deal with. But they sure were using the materials. Them guys were still using those materials. But much love to Subriel, man. I hate that they keep matching them. Why would you keep putting your fighter on the same night as Tank? Like that can work a little bit. It can work a little bit if you just relying on the people to say, oh man, I'm not interested in that fight. I'm gonna watch yours. Like if you got that market to where it's like, oh, like the people who be like, man, I'm never gonna drink Coke. Give me a Pepsi. You know what I'm saying? Them people that just gonna be like, because they got hate for Coke or whatever. Nike, I'm just gonna always rock Adidas. That might work, but I wouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the notoriety that Subriel has, I wouldn't do it. I would have used that for a time when there was a lull in the action. But I got love for Subriel, man. I hope he get back, man, because he is a major player. He is a major player. I'm wondering if Richardson Hitchens will give him a shot. Boxing is 90% mental. If your head ain't right, you can't go. Yeah. Matias just fought Paro with no heart or passion. Yeah. He was going through the motions. And I think for real, I think that he got a little bit into the super. He got into superstar mode that night. I mean, when you putting on for your country like that, and you got all them people and all that attention, I think it kind of went to his head a little bit. And I think he not that he got too conceited. I think he just did too much, man. I think he did too much for that fight. And he didn't really make any adjustments. And he thought he could just weather the storm. And Paro was just a little he made a little, his IQ was just a little bit better than what he thought, and he was active. You going live tomorrow for the fight? Probably not. This is probably one of the ones where I'm just going to enjoy it, man. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm just going to enjoy it, Koki. But it is, man. It is. But I just said I was going to come in here and give my recap, and put a stake in the ground for Tank, man. He doing wonderful things, man. And I just wanted to be one of the ones that, man, just give the dude his credit, and be a stake in the ground for him. And, enlighten anybody who might be listening that, man, it's don't believe everything you hear. And it's okay if you rock with somebody and you like their charisma, you like their personality, you might even like their work ethic. But if all they doing is feeding you garbage and junk food, man, tell them, hey, listen, man, we need some fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. You know what I'm saying? But much love, Koki. Yeah, kind of nice to take notes. They was going up. The stock only is, yeah, man. That's one thing, man. The more they hate on, the more he rise, and he's showing that, hey, even with a guy that y'all don't like, y'all don't approve of, I'm still gonna rise like cream in the crop. Salute, Smoke. I was getting ready to get off, man. So I'm getting ready to get off, man, and I just wanted to put this out there for the guy and just give my recap of the week, and that's it, man. That's all I really wanted to do. But anyways, y'all, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. We don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.